Hello, today we have a special guest. It's Matt Hawkins. Matt is a scriptwriter, he's a playwright, he's a director and a lecturer, and he's also the founder of the South Australian Playwrights Theatre. Matt, we're here to talk about scriptwriting, and in particular the review process, and then we're going to talk about my film in a bit. But let's talk about you when you read a script. What are you looking for? What are you kind of thinking? And what are you kind of trying to respond to?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I read a script, it is a film. So I'm looking for visual storytelling. I'm also looking for a really clear narrative, a character who has a problem and a plan. And that's a narrative that's going to drive the story forward. And it's really important that it's in a kind of a distinct, knowable style and tone as well. So I've got my head in the world of the film.
Okay, great. So you've read my script and you've provided some feedback. We've done that already. What are your kind of, thoughts about the script, if you want to kind of tell us about those?
Sure. So when you gave me a script, I realised it was at early stages of the process. And what you had was a world and a really interesting concept. But what you needed to work on was the characters and what they really wanted, and to make that apparent in the screenplay itself. Because if I'm following a character, I want to see and hear and really be emotionally involved in that character. And so to a degree, I need to understand where they're coming from. So you've got to look at motivation and objective. That was the most important thing that I noticed about it, that those needed to be clarified.
Yeah, I think you've made some excellent points. Like, it's always hard hearing feedback because you've been living with this thing for so long. But I, took it on board and thought, okay, what is Matt trying to say here, and how could I actually implement some of this? And so what I did in the script was I looked at, the main character and kind of their setup, what was driving them. And really that was around the mother. And then I realized that the mother was a bit of a passive character. They didn't really have much to do.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of started with trying to action your feedback and thought the mother needs more to do. So rather than the mother just being that character that the main character is trying to, run away from, escape from, because there's some sort of unknown kind of trauma or issue there, I pivoted and the mother became a politician, a corrupt politician, which ties really nicely into the second point, which you're asking is, what is this character, what are they trying to achieve? And what they're trying to achieve in the film is change in society through lucid dreaming and the kind of skills and abilities that it could provide in the kind of narrative.
And most importantly, those decisions need to be visually represented. So and a lot of writers err on the side of what is in their head rather than what is on the page. Ultimately, what is on the page is going to be on the screen. And that's really important. And it's visuals, it's events, it's behaviors that the viewer interprets and understands, but really follows a trajectory of where this leads. So those specific choices are really important to clarify in the screenplay itself.
Absolutely. And that was, what became apparent to me, is what you're saying is that it was in my head and it wasn't on the page yet.
Which is fine. I mean, that's where you start. You start, it's in my head, I'm inspired, I really love this concept. So it's really important that you get it down in whatever way you want to get it down. And of course, you try and make it as apparent as possible, but often it's not at that stage, and you'll present it to a reviewer or an editor, and you've got to be prepared to deal with those inadequacies of the script. Otherwise, you'll get nowhere. And then you go, fine, and then change it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the changes that I've made, I've talked about the backstory and making that more of a motivating factor, but I've also changed the end of the film and made that much clearer to the audience what I'm trying to say through the dialogue, through the actions of the characters. And also the film has a number of dream sequences. I've modified those dream sequences as well to serve that kind of narrative better as well.
And if I know where I'm at any given point of the film, and it's clear what's happening, then I can follow and I can sort of understand or be interested in what will come in the end.
So I do, really appreciate that you took the time, that you had that. I mean, hard conversation and really thought about it with me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a hard conversation if the person is really a filmmaker and wants to see the film made. Then it's like, yeah, I'll take anything on board to make this more visually engaging. And that's what all filmmakers do. People who stay in the game, they talk to each other. And you can't do everything at once. And often there's a process. And if you understand that, you'll still be there when the film is on the screen.
Great. That kind of leads me into my last kind of question for you. What advice do you have for emerging writers, filmmakers who are crafting their own script or working with others, to collaborate on a film?
Well, there's a lot of advice, but I'll be really succinct. And I think the main thing is have a story to tell, have something to say, and say it visually.
Great.
That's it to start with. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right. Thanks very much, Matt. Really appreciated you coming in and having this chat today and all your help and guidance on my script itself. So thank you.